Today we're in Balboa Park, San Diego. We're gonna check out some museums, and we're starting out with our first museum, the San Diego Natural History Museum, or they call it here, the NAT. So come inside with us, explore. Don't know what all we're gonna see, but we're excited. It's been a couple years since we've been here. So thrills, chills, and good meals, we're always down for a good museum. Let's check out the inside. Entering into the Natural History Museum, or as they call it here in San Diego, the NAT. It's our first museum of the day in Balboa Park. And as soon as you walk in, you see some gigantic dinosaur sculptures. A beautiful display of a duck-billed dinosaur. You see all the textures in his skin. And I know we've seen fossils before that were actually more like imprints of the skin. And it's cool, when you come around on the other side, they actually have it filleted open. So you can see the skeletal system of the duck-billed dinosaur on this side. I really like that display. Giant ribs, his curved neck, and all the way up to his duck bills that gives him his name. Very nice display as soon as you walk into the museum. And just as the duck-billed dinosaur, here's an Albertosaurus. So again, you see the texture of his skin, all the way down to his feet, his muscle structure, to his long tail. And then we curve around the other side, and again, here he is. There's his tails and his vertebrae, all the way up to his head, and his massive teeth. Could not imagine getting bit by that thing. Those are some ripping jaws and teeth right there for sure. Let's go check out some fossils, see what they have to offer over here. There's some giant seashells from 75 million years ago, it says. Those are huge, like giant snails, or there's one like a squid inside of a snail shell called ammonites. Yeah, those are enormous. I mean, compared to my hand, that thing is huge back there. Can't even imagine. I want to see the creature that would come out of that thing. Oh, and we have a nice little brittle star right there. So it's cool. We'll see some fossils of some creatures that are still alive. We entered into what looks like a jungle zone. This looks like a prehistoric crocodile over here. I'm gonna say these were all juveniles because everything you hear about dinosaurs, they were huge. Got a little shark in that water. And these are actually adorable little creatures over here. I'm not quite sure what they are, but that is so cute. And they're about to get eaten, it looks like. I don't know what that thing is. That looks like a crazy predator, but nothing like we have today. It's like a wolf mountain lion hybrid mix or something. Very, very creepy. And this right here looks like a rhinoceros, a horse, and a cow had a baby. They're calling this a brontothere. They say this is a skull from him. And it's funny, I was just making the comparison from when he looked like as we're walking up. And they literally have the same comparison on here on this display. Horse, rhino, and they're actually saying a tapir, and there's the brontothere, so they all kind of emerged into our modern animals. That one is really cool. I like the shape of his head, and I guess this is his baby right here, hanging out, waiting for her mom probably. They have many hands-on displays here at the NAT, so this is displaying how the jaw system would work. So this is a white-tailed deer. You move this little dial down below with your hand, and it shows how they would actually chew and eat all the grain and grass they could find. And then on the other side, you got a predator. We have a mountain lion. You can actually feel his teeth interlock as it closes up. That's very, very cool. A walrus skeleton. Look at this giant tusk right there. That is beautiful. Imagine that ripping through some flesh. And I like how they put a cage around the skeleton to kind of demonstrate how its body shape was and size. However, it looks like a pretty small walrus. We've seen much bigger walruses than that at SeaWorld, actually. So I don't know if that was a juvenile. They're calling it a walrus, so just a smaller one. This is an extinct relative of the gray whale right here. Kind of a skinny head. And again, that is small for a whale. I'm gonna guess it's maybe 15 feet long. So maybe these were smaller whales back then, or They just found juveniles. They didn't find adult size. This long-beaked river dolphin, though, that looks almost like a crocodile mouth right there. Little slender teeth, long snout. Definitely going to be good at catching fish with that thing. And hanging from the ceiling up here, they're saying this is an extinct giant sea cow. That thing is enormous. Now this is bigger than the whales I was just showing you. Look at the inside of this thing. Huge vertebrae. Giant rib cage. Yeah, that is really, really beautiful. That is a large animal right there. And now this must be his baby down here. And that's about the size of the manatees they have now in Florida. Maybe a little bigger than that, but not much. So that thing is ginormous. So imagine seeing a manatee as big as a whale. A mighty mastodon. Huge tusks. Love the curvature of them. Comes down to the big bony feet. All the way back to his mastodon tail. That is an amazing creature right there. Would love to have seen that alive. I want to see like a hairy elephant. And right across from him, we have a giant cat, a prehistoric lion on this rocks just waiting to pounce. Looks like he's about to pounce on this little baby mastodon over there. Poor little guy. He's going to become lunch or dinner real soon for that big cat. That's a massive head for a lion. Another hands-on display. Time for a saber-toothed cat. Look how big they're showing his mouth opens. I wonder if his jaw really opened that wide. I mean, I guess maybe it would have to in order to clear those giant jaws. That is huge than just being impaled by those fangs right there. And although this guy is massive, I'm sure he was nice and would love to have been pet. This is a Harlan's ground sloth. A massive sloth about the size of our modern day cows. We love two-toed and three-toed sloths. They're so adorable. So couldn't imagine seeing one this giant just moving around. They have big claws, but I'm assuming those are just for digging. Do not think that was an attacker. And you can tell by the teeth, definitely was a vegetarian. He got grinded teeth right there. And once that giant lion we saw was done with his mammoth prey for lunch, this is the creature right here that would swoop in and clean up the rest. This is a condor. Looks like they haven't even changed that much in all these years. We see them at the San Diego Zoo and the LA Zoo. I know they were close to extinction, so they were breeding them and bringing them back. But this creature has definitely survived through a long time. That naked head, so it can't get any bacteria and any illnesses on it. A little tuft of feathers on its neck. Big, powerful, beautiful creature. It's like the trashman of nature. Here's part of a skeleton of an ancient horse. And it says that all horses in our continent died out about 10,000 years ago. Then they were brought over here again in 1492. And that's how we have horses today. So if they had not been brought over here from Europe and everything, then we would not have horses alive to see. So glad they brought them over here. Now they're able to flourish. A beautiful saber cat skeleton right here. I'd say he's about the size of about a modern day tiger. But this thing has huge teeth. I'm not sure how big the tiger's teeth are, but I doubt they're that thick. Now, I don't know how many of these bones in this skeleton right here are actual genuine. How many reproductions, not really saying that. But you get to see them all the way down to their little tiny tail. Almost like a little bobcat tail versus a tiger or lion tail. The Nat does consist of 4 different floors here. They have elevators and stairs, so we got to take the stairs, get some steps, work on those legs, and now we're up here at the very, very top. Each floor is completely different. I would say the 4th floor probably has the least exhibits, but we're going to work our way down and see what we have in between. And when you want a good picture in nature, you got to be willing to do whatever it takes. This photographer right here, he must have had a really good buddy. This guy literally got on his hands and knees, let him stand on his back to get that perfect picture of this plant right here. That's teamwork right there. Babe, you want to let me stand on your back, take a picture?
I'll stand on your back.
I'll crush you. Entering into an exhibit called the Baja Expedition. See what we have in here to explore. Showing some different reptiles of the region. Here's a Santa Catalina Island rattlesnake, Catalina Island spiny lizard, and a Catalina iron whip tail snake. That is a cool snake. I don't remember seeing any of these over on the island, so when we go back, we're going to have to go to the back side of the island and see if we can do a little exploring, because where we're at on the ocean side, I didn't see any reptiles whatsoever. But I want to see a chuckwalla, and I want to see a desert iguana. Those spots are beautiful on that lizard right there. Here's an adorable little kangaroo rat. They are so cute. I know we've seen types of those jumping around when we stay up in Calico, Ghost Town. But man, I know those things cause a lot of problems when it comes to building and everything. But again, they are adorable. I won't take that away from them. Heading back down the stairs, going down to level 3. Like I said, 4th floor is probably the least exhibits. So then we're going to see more stuff down here. Look at these cute little foxes playing with a tarantula. Just having a good old time. That's a Colombian mammoth skull with 2 molars. That is gigantic. Those teeth are probably about the size of Maria's feet. Those are some really good sized teeth right there for one mammoth elephant. Crazy, something so large could live off plants and just graze around. But guess it didn't live good enough because they're not around anymore, unfortunately. This display is called Creating Objects from Minerals. These are beautiful. So that's a quartz agate rock. And they made this little bowl. And then behind that, it's called a variscite. And they made a bowl out of that too. Beautiful green color back there. And this is jade, like we see in Chinatown. And this vase right here is probably my favorite. That's made out of poppy jasper. Love the colors. I don't think I've ever seen anything made out of amethyst, so that's very unique. A purple amethyst bowl. And right in front of that, a rhodonite bowl. A lace agate vase. And that's the rock that we came through in the back. And then a lepidolite box. So those are all made from rocks. Couldn't imagine how long it took to actually carve those out or however they made them. But very, very nice pieces. This says in the early 1950s, a gentleman named George Ashley invented a machine that turned the blocks of minerals into highly polished 2 to 4 inch bowls that were seen below. He received numerous local and national awards for the beautiful bowls. And we agree, they are definitely beautiful. Here's a comparison of some skulls. So this one we're showing first is a human skull, adult size. And you get to compare that over here. Look at the teeth on that guy. That is a gorilla. Below him is a bonobo. But over here to this 5 right here, it's called a drill. This is a mandrill. That thing has bigger teeth than the gorilla. That thing looks very aggressive. Below him is a baboon. And then some little tiny skulls over here. We have a golden lion tamarin, a white-lipped tamarin, a common marmoset, and even this little tiny tamarin head right there. Very small, but they still got some teeth, so they could do some damage if they ever got a hold of you. And various turtle skulls. So there's little skulls down here. All kinds of turtles that we would be used to now. You got a river cooter, a little mud turtle. But then in the back, that giant head right there is an alligator snapping turtle. That thing would break your finger if it ever got in his mouth. It may even break an arm, who knows. But these are some massive heads. We got some mata turtles in here. We even got a sea turtle head right there. Look at that giant skull from that sea turtle. So there's a sea turtle. And these are like our little turtles we used to, like a box turtle size or whatever else. So
like
huge.
heads.
Very crazy, huh? There's one back here with his lips almost on it. Those are some very interesting turtle skulls. All the different shapes and sizes. Various bird skulls starting here with an ostrich skull. Moving over to macaw with that long beak. And some of the most interesting birds I've ever seen, these toucans. These long beaks. Love the colors of all their feathers too when they have them still. And look at the inside. It's like hollow. You can literally see the different fibers inside of that beak right there. That is from a rhinoceros hornbill. And I believe this is a cassowary up here. Yeah, it's a southern cassowary. Down to the long beak of a brown kiwi. And finally, a California condor. Very, very unique styles and sizes again for these birds. Yeah, that hornbill is massive. Now we found some reptile skulls. Beautiful representation of American alligator. Coming around here, we got a giant toad. Look at the teeth on that reticulated python. Sharp teeth that slant back so they can just stick in you and never come out. And we're able to just commenting over here, they have a horned toad. And look at the spikes on that. So it reminds her of like a modern day dinosaur, even though this is so tiny. I mean, look at right of my finger. That is such a small little skull right there. But they got the jutted out bones, just like a giant dinosaur would have. Oh, and we recognize that skull right there. That is absolutely a Jackson chameleon with his 3 horns. We had one of those back in the day. Showing how some whales use what's called baleen inside of their mouth. This is a representation right here. So these giant creatures suck all the water in and then filter the water out through these hairs all inside of their mouth, and little krill and shrimp and little tiny microscopic creatures get stuck in that. It just blows my mind again that a massive creature can eat something so small and survive off of that. That is a lot of hair, and it literally looks like hair would come off of a human or a horse or something like that. Let's go see some crazier ones inside. The inside of a minke whale, his long pointy snout. And then it says that scientists even found a skull that this one actually had both baleen and teeth. So you can see the sharp teeth on there, almost like a dolphin teeth. But it had baleen that ran down the middle so it can siphon stuff out of the water and eat fish at the same time. Here's something I've never seen before. This is an actual humpback whale fetus. Yeah, we've been here numerous times and I've never noticed that. So sad. This cute little tiny whale right there. If he was stretched out, he'd maybe be about 2 feet long. You can see his tail, his little flippers, and even his little humpback face. He would have been adorable swimming in the water, that's for sure. And we go from adorable to straight up savage. This is an ancient whale skull cast. Look at the teeth in that thing. That looks like something right out of the Jurassic Park ride at Universal. Looks like he's ready to rip you open. More like a great white teeth right in the back, and almost crocodile teeth in the front. That would be a scary creature to come upon in the water. And that's an artist's rendition of what they think they may have looked like, eating squid and anything else they possibly get their teeth in. Done with level 3, heading down to level 2. Again, we have been here before, but it's been many years, so it's kind of like experiencing it for the first time. We're having a wonderful time here. It's not like the Natural History Museum in LA. There's much more to see there. Oh, and actually I was wrong. It looks like level 2 is nothing. Now that is some interesting wallpaper there. The entomology wallpaper. Butterflies and beautiful beetles. Looks like we're gonna go in and see some taxidermy birds. Love that yellow bird right there. So colorful. Now, looks like a ring-tailed cat possibly in the back. So be prepared to see a lot of dead animals and taxidermy in this next exhibit. An Indian elephant skull. He looks about the same size as the mammoth we saw out there. But these ones have like downward tusks, where the mammoth out there had tusks that curved upwards. So I'm assuming it's for different features and different reasons. We'll walk over and see some seabirds, because right here we have some adorable little fluffy babies trying to spread its wings. But they didn't make it, obviously. And that's why they're in this display right here. Looking like some birds in a marsh. And we have a little weasel-like creature back here in the back. Looks like he's trying to steal some eggs, or steal those little babies that are just starting to float around in the water. And moving over to a massive predator. Here's a golden eagle. Look at that thing. And that's the size of his baby. His baby is bigger than my fist. Looks like he brought him some treat. Got a nice little rabbit over there for breakfast. That is a adorable little blue-eyed golden eagle right there. That would have grown into this massive bird if he had a chance. And here's a creature we see all over Riverside County. Got some beautiful red-tailed hawk perched up on this branch. Like I said, we see these all the time, everywhere we go, soaring through the air, perched up on lamp poles or trees or wherever else. We have some eggs from ducks to robins to gulls back there. Those gull eggs are really interesting. The grayish green color with the polka dots. And over here we have some desert cottontails. That's called an Albert squirrel. He has like a red streak down his back. He is really beautiful. I don't know where he would be at. I'd like to go see those out in nature. And an American badger. But I still want to see that Albert squirrel. They don't have a sign that says what kind of owl this is, but he is beautiful, so I could not resist showing him to you anyways. He is just perched up on this log. Look at that eyes and feathers and just looking perfect. Little spots and polka dots waiting for prey to come by. And for a little size comparison, this is a little hummingbird right here, going into a beautiful yellow western tanager. A California quail, again, that we also see all over the place up in the hills where we live. To the great horned owl, and then moving into this massive emperor penguin. I know they don't even live close to the same areas, but I think it's just a size comparison right here. That is one giant penguin. Absolutely beautiful. We'll have to go see one of those at SeaWorld pretty soon. An assortment of mounted skulls on display over here, but there are two that are just blowing me away. This massive rack right here is from a reindeer. Giant horns. And this guy, look at that. I'm trying to do Princess Leia hair. That is a buffalo. So American buffalo. Those huge horns right there. I'm assuming they use those to ram things and show aggression in order to mate. Because that is one big headpiece that they had to offer. An adorable little bobcat. You can see the little tufts on his ears up there to all of his fur. Just looks like he's prancing along, looking to find him some squirrels or mice to eat. And right below him, some majestic sandhill cranes. Beautiful big necks and their beaks, waiting to go into the water and find some fish. And here's a genuine mastodon tusk. So again, not much bigger than the elephant we saw. The Indian elephant is about the same size, it looked like. And here's an authentic mastodon tusk. You can see they put it in the casing there to keep and preserve it, but you can see we're actually broken in half. But if you notice, not much bigger than the Indian elephant tusk we saw over there. But that is still really nice to be able to see in person. That is probably the cutest skunk I've ever seen. They're calling that a spotted skunk. I don't know if that's full grown because it's probably about half the size or a third of the size of a regular skunk that we're used to seeing. It's all black and white. And I'm assuming they still have a stink gland, but that is beautiful. Right next to another bird with crazy colors on under his chin and on his tail. It's a northern flicker. It's just crazy, all different colors in nature. These yellow and black Cuban land snails, all the way over to the butterflies, and then these red scallops. I just love it. Anytime you come to a natural history museum, you never know what you're going to see. They're all different displays, but you always will be sure you'll see a lot of taxidermy. We're really enjoying how this museum is displaying the fish and other creatures we've seen here. So this is an opa. So this side is a representation of the outside of the fish would look like alive. And you come on the other side, and this is a genuine fish skeleton. So this is the inside of the opa. Big, huge eye socket there. You can see where his fins would have been looking like wings coming across. Giant body and surprisingly short little tail for such a massive fish. Yeah, that is a very large fish right there, called an opa. But it's so cool to be able to see inside and see his skeleton. Here is a jaw of a sperm whale. Now, I believe this is what the giant whale in Moby Dick is based of. And Maria's standing on the side, so you can see, compared to her little size, how massive this jaw is. Full of teeth. And the teeth may not be sharp, but they could definitely do some damage. I'm sure there were some massive jaw muscles in there that would chomp down and eat anything at once. And you actually see on the tips of all the teeth how they're rounded. So I'm wondering if they actually used to be sharp, or they kind of got ground down through age possibly. That's very interesting. Something I never really thought about before. So he may have had giant, almost like alligator teeth. Some more seabirds I'm sure you can find around here in San Diego area. There's no names on these, but this bird right here with the little white tufts against his black feathers is hilarious. Love the way he looks. And come around here to these beautiful, massive pelicans. Love seeing pelicans flying through the air. Always reminds me of pterodactyls. I feel like I'm back in Jurassic Park. But those are some really beautiful representations of the birds. And I love how they made it so realistic. Because the rocks, of course, anywhere birds are, rocks are going to be white covered with bird poop. They made sure they made it very authentic here at the museum as well. The inside of a common dolphin. You can see his long snout and sharp little teeth right there. And it's funny because he has a flipper. When we look inside, you can see that it almost looks like our fingers. So it's like a hand just wrapped in skin so they can dig into that water with this powerful little tail. But that is just very, very cool. Again, how you can see inside of the animal and imagine how they're able to move and work. They even have some living animals here at the gnat. You can see his back kind of sticking out right there. Got a rosy boa. And then right next to him, we had a snake just shed out. Looks like very recently. And he's beautiful, all his colors now. That light brown, almost like yellowish. Looks like he would glow in the dark. That's a common king snake. And we got some beetles. You can see one hiding behind that rock right there. A little tiny black beetle in there. And that is a stink beetle. So you get too close to him, we'll put his butt in the air and spray you. And another animal we're used to seeing when we're out, especially up in the mountains or hills. Here's a southern alligator lizard. Very beautiful colors and markings on his back. He's super active. He just walked around when we came up right now. Looks like he's just chilling and having his best day in it. I don't know if that's real or not, but that would be insane. Going on your patio where you have your little hummingbird feeder, just feeding your little tiny birds, and you actually saw a bat sticking out with his tongue, drinking that nectar. That would definitely be a sight to see. I would love that. And here's a massive American bullfrog chilling in the water. He's got his feet just propped down here with this rock with only his eyes and his nose hanging out of the water. He's just hanging out, checking me out like I'm checking him out. Look at that body just hanging out into the water, floating weightless. Probably just waiting for something to swim by so he could pounce on it and have him a lunch. I remember as a kid growing up in LA County, go to the LA Zoo, and this is exactly what they would show us there. They were breeding and reproducing little California condors, and they did not want to get them used to humans, so they'd use puppets just like this. So a keeper would have his arm inside of there, so the little baby bird would never see the person, and they would put meat or whatever else they were feeding him inside of the fake puppet right here and feed the birds. That way when they got older, they could release them, and they would not be coming back to humans, and they would not get desensitized to us. So that is very cool to actually see that right here in the San Diego Museum as well. Venturing down to the final floor of the museum. So when you come in, you actually start on the second floor. So we went from second up to the fourth, down to the third, and now we're on the bottom first floor again. We've now entered into the living lab. This is a desert iguana, so I actually get to see some live animals in here now. He's just sleeping up there, basking under his heat lamp. He's got some vegetables in there, and he doesn't even care. It's nap time. This is a western rattlesnake. Got his head resting on the rock right here, kind of hiding behind that piece of wood. But you can see his rattle, just ready to start making some noise if he ever got spooked. He's probably used to people, so he's just chilling. No issues at all with us looking at him right now. Definitely don't want to step on him. He will strike you down. A giant colony of some long-legged desert harvester ants. And this is cracking me up. It's almost like they're hummingbirds over here drinking nectar off this little thing right here. And they go up inside. They have their houses. They have a magnifying glass so we can see inside of there. Laying eggs and reproducing all day long. See them venturing up into there where the caverns are. Come back down and get some food and do it all over again. That's their life cycle. Always moving, always working right here. A Baja rat snake, just enjoying that heat. I'm sure that sand just absorbed these heat lamps over him, and he just also having a relaxing day. Nice and chill, waiting for his next meal. That's a very large gopher snake. I would say he's probably a good 4.5, maybe 5 feet long. I've seen a lot of those in my life, but I don't think I've ever seen one that big. I would love to see him all stretched out and get ready to eat some rodents. But everything in here is just enjoying their heat lamps and having a leisurely day. Some western toads. We saw the first one right here on the outside just hanging out. Look a little closer. There's a guy inside of a hole and another guy inside of a hut. So 3 western toads. None of them want anything to do with each other. Just leaving each other alone, living their best solo lives like the other ones don't even exist. And a couple more alligator lizards. It's funny, like the frogs want nothing to do with each other, these guys can't get close enough. There's literally one alligator lizard on top of the other, and they look super comfortable. I'm probably assuming it's a male and a female in there. I don't see 2 of the same sex of the lizards hanging out like that, but you never know. They sure look cozy. This is a glossy snake. Really beautiful light colors blending in with that sand. I'm sure if he was just laying out there in the natural sun, it'd be hard to see. And right above our heads is the one creature that I am absolutely terrified of. It is a giant great white shark. I'm assuming that's life size. He is big and thick. I would not want to encounter him. No thank you. Give me a tiger or an alligator or anything like that any day. Not a shark. That is not my friend. And they even have a nice little gift shop on the bottom floor. Plenty of plush animals so your kids can take them home. But these clocks right here are amazing. Those are so much better than the little TikTok or Kit Kat cats, whatever they're called, with little eyes. I would rather have me a little beaver or squirrel, tiny little fox, or even a bear with a tree on his tail. Those are amazing. They're called pop clocks. This final exhibit is called Amazement in the Basement. So there's actually 5 floors to the museum. I almost missed it. Luckily Maria saw the sign or I thought I was ready to head out. But they have this beautiful full-size mountain lion here on display. There's no sign on this one, but I am assuming this is what they call the man-eating clam. This thing is a giant clam. My hand on that, look at that. My hand is nothing compared to that. Imagine my hand got stuck inside there when it was alive. It would not release, and who knows what would happen to you. So let's go check out some more amazement in the basement. They have a well-lit room right here with all different fossilized bones. So this is a femur of the duck-billed dinosaur we saw when we came in up top. All different kinds of displays. These are the amylites, like they have the squids living inside of them. So these are all their display areas getting ready to go out, I would assume. Storing them in here till they can get them all finalized and cleaned up. We got plenty of vertebrae up in here. Wow. Lots and lots of whales. Tons of bones. This is a whale jaw that was taken out of a cave. This is the jaw of an animal they're calling an ammonodonte skull. They said that 40 million years ago, it was a cousin of a rhino and it lived actually in Oceanside. So that's where these were found. Look at the teeth on those things. Very interesting. How all the different animals that lived around us that no longer are alive today. Here's a 40 million year old tortoise shell, also found in Oceanside, not far from where we're at right now. This is a very beautiful display. These could always be hidden away where we couldn't see them, so I actually like they put them out. Yeah, they may not be cleaned up and polished and looking all pretty, but I kind of like them this way. Here's a layer of tropical seashells, about 3 million years old. Fossils at Costco. Sandstone dollars, about 2.5 million years old. Found in construction at the Costco on Market Street here in San Diego. That is hilarious. You never know what you're going to find. So imagine everything that's underneath the ground from all the buildings that have been here for 100 plus years. You never know what we could be sitting on right now. And we never will know because they're not going to tear the buildings down to dig. But if they did, we probably would be blown away. This is called a Gomphothere jaw. Never heard of that one. And next to that is a mastodon jaw. So both relatives to elephants. This one, the mastodon, is about 120,000 years old. But this over here said I've never heard of that animal before. I'm assuming it's called Gomphothere. These are all vertebrae of a giant ancient sea cow. Those things look like the size of like an elephant. Wow, I would have loved to see that swimming through the ocean. Huge, huge vertebrae. And this is the archaeologist's working lab. So they dig everything up out of the ground, they can bring it here and then work on it. This gentleman back here is working on a machine It says you're removing sediment off of the Ice Age bison, 120,000 years old. So definitely in here working, and who knows what else they have that we aren't seeing right now. So come back in a couple years, there may be some even more interesting displays. That was our time at the NAT here at the San Diego Natural History Museum. Had a great time. Lots of different floors. So like I said, we almost missed the basement. It was one of my favorites. So I'm so glad Maria saw that. So make sure you read the signs here. You never know what they could be hiding. But thank you for joining us here. Thrills, chills, and good meals. We got more museums to go. So keep up with us. Follow along, subscribe, and let's go on another day in San Diego.